Hello, today we are meeting our friend Conrad Weaver, our Ukrainian-American friend. We met you in Ukraine, and now when we live in Sacramento, you come and visit us. It's a great pleasure to see you again.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a great privilege to participate in the creation of this documentary. I know that Slava helped you to do some videos, and thank you for inviting us for the presentation of this documentary.
Yeah, well, it was great to have you guys there last night and at the event at our Northern California premiere of the film. So it was great to have you there, and every time I come to Sacramento, I always have to visit my Ukrainian friends. So
you're a famous filmmaker, podcast host, husband and dad. You like to travel, you like to sail, you like photography, adventures, and I heard that you're going on a special bike tour.
I am, and I should add to that bio that I like to ride my bicycle. Yeah. Because I'm riding across the country starting in May this spring and riding from the Pacific Ocean all the way to the Atlantic Ocean.
How is it connected with this documentary?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are riding to raise awareness about our film, and we are bringing the film to 25 cities along the route. As we pedal toward the Atlantic Ocean, we'll stop in major cities and show the film to the communities there.
When this film will be on YouTube or other platforms?
So this year we're taking the film and putting on these events, these screening events, where we bring the communities together, we have conversations about the subject matter, and then later this year we'll do a streaming premiere that people can purchase tickets for, and then it'll be available on the streamers, Amazon and other places around the interwebs. It'll be available for download after that.
What made you think about this PTSD syndrome, and why you think it is important to speak about it?
Yeah, so I was working on a film a few years ago about the opioid crisis and about drug addiction and overdoses, and I was riding with a police officer back east, and we were called to an overdose scene. So it was a very tragic event. There was a fatal overdose, so the person was deceased. And so I was in the room with all this stuff going on. The police officers and the paramedics on scene were just like, it's just Tuesday. It was just another normal day for them.
So normal.
Yeah, and so I started thinking about and researching how trauma impacts first responders, or our firefighters, our police officers, and even our dispatchers, those 911 operators. If you pick up your phone and dial 911, there's someone who takes your call. Even those people are impacted by things that they hear. And so I started researching this and uncovered this whole problem. Suicide rates among first responders are astronomically higher than the normal population. It's been said that about 37% of first responders have some kind of PTSD, and about that many that percentage of firefighters have had some kind of suicidal ideation or thoughts. And so it's a big problem. And these are the people who sacrifice their time to take care of our communities. They respond to our worst days. You know, when there's an accident or there's a heart attack or there's an overdose or there's a fire, they respond. No matter the time of day or night, they respond.
Yeah, I see the question, but who will rescue them if they are rescuing other people and they really may have even worse problems?
They are the helpers. And oftentimes the helpers don't think they need help because we're the helpers. We're the ones who go out and help. And so they are reluctant to ask for help if they're struggling. So perhaps they're having nightmares, perhaps they're having bad dreams, or they can't sleep, or perhaps they decide to try to numb the pain with alcohol or drugs, and now they have a problem, but they're not willing to ask for help because they're the helpers. And so my question is, who will rescue them? And so this film tells that story, and we follow a firefighter, a police officer, and a dispatcher through their journey. And over the course of 3 years, I followed these three people, and I didn't know where it was going to take us. I didn't know if it was going to end in a terrible way or if it was going to end in a positive way. But we tell their story so that others can see, oh, you know what, this firefighter, he got help. He raised his hand and said, I need help. Maybe I can do the same. And then we really want to show stories of police agencies or fire agencies that are doing things right to help their members. And so we have experts, we have psychologists and others who talk about post-traumatic stress and what that is, how it impacts you, and then some tools that they can use to be able to manage the stress and trauma that they face. And so it's an important story that I think the world needs to see and hear.
Who is this man on the poster, and how did you make him being so open and honest with you?
Yeah, so the man on the poster is a friend of mine back in Maryland. He's a firefighter. He's now the chief in our town, the fire chief, and he also works, and he's a volunteer chief in our town, but he also works as a full-time paid firefighter. And about 6 years ago, we had a fire, a big fire in our town. And it was a house fire. It was right before Christmas. And we live in a small town. Everybody kind of knows everybody. Well, he was one of the firefighters who went into the house to rescue the people that were trapped in the house. And unfortunately, those 2 people died. And he had just brought them out of the house when I took this photograph of him. And he had this look in his face and his eyes of thinking, I think he was thinking about the things that he saw and experienced.
Yeah, it's a sadness, despair, maybe he feels so sorry for those people.
Yeah, it was a very tragic day for our town. And so when I started working on this film, I thought, okay, what can I use as a poster for this movie? And that photo came to my mind. I remembered taking that photo. And so I called him and said, hey, would you mind if I use this photo of you on my poster, in my promotional? And he was like, of course. He's more than willing to, because he understands what I'm working on. And he said yes. And so I think it's a powerful photo. It's a powerful image. And it really speaks to the trauma that first responders experience, because it was real. It was that day right there. So it was raw and real. And so I'm thankful that he was willing to say yes to being on the poster.
And not only powerful poster, but powerful movie. I've seen it last night and it really impressed me. I thought that probably as Ukrainians, we all faced some tragic events in our lives, and it can cause post-traumatic syndrome, so I felt a little bit related to this. And what about you, when you were working on this film? What did you feel? Did you feel any feelings related to post-traumatic syndrome?
That's a great question, because in working with all the first responders, I started to have to look inside. And I've had events in my life that were traumatic. Not as traumatic as, finding a person dead in a fire, but traumatic events that have haunted me or have caused, nightmares and bad dreams. And in the course of my research, I found a man who has this process that they take people through to help resolve post-traumatic stress. And so in talking with him one day, I was telling him about these dreams, and he said, I can help with that. And so in the process of 20 minutes, he took me through this process, and I haven't had a dream since about that. And he helps first responders, he helps veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress. Because whenever you have an event, a tragic event, you have an emotion attached to that event. It could be sadness, it could be grief, it could be anger, it could be other types of emotions. And so whenever you think about that event, those emotions come up. Well, what he does with his process that he takes you through, he helps you separate that emotion from the event. And so now when you think about that event, those emotions don't come up. And it's a way of healing post-traumatic stress. And it's amazing, I've seen it. He worked with the police officer in my film. He's worked with thousands of others, and he's bringing healing. And speaking of Ukraine, we are working we are working with some first responder organizations in Ukraine to bring this type of healing of post-traumatic stress to the Ukrainian first responders and to the Ukrainian people. We're still in the early part of planning this, but we're working with a first responder in Ukraine to bring it to the country of Ukraine, and so we can bring healing to people there.
Oh, that is very important. Actually, in America, there are so many refugees from Ukraine, and they are also traumatized. They have so many problems, they have so much stress. Many of them have these nightmares, and I think even here, if there are some groups of help, it may be helpful to the people who are already here, who are from Ukraine.
That's an interesting scenario. I think we can help with that. I think the organizations that I'm working with, and we can maybe talk offline here about how we can bring some help to those refugees. I think that would be a powerful thing. And then once we train people to do this, and my friend Dan and his people can train people to do this, then they can take that and help others. And so it's a process that I think will change people's lives for the better.
What were some other ways of being mentally healthy? I think there was something with sports, with other activities. Can you name some of those?
Yeah, you know, physical activity is one of the best ways to take care of your brain. Physical activity produces endorphins in your body, and it produces just a better mental process. And so having a regular way of exercising, perhaps doing things like yoga or mindfulness or breathing, just practicing breathing exercises and doing things that add positive things to your brain. I'm a big believer in thinking positive thoughts, listening to positive motivational people, listening to podcasts that build my brain, and using that to kind of heal me in a way, and to make me stronger for the things that I may face in the future. I think that's important to build up your system so that when you face trauma and you face these hard things, that you're prepared for it. And a friend of mine who's in the film, he says, he calls it left of bang. If bang is the incident, the trauma, the thing that has bothered you, what have you done before that to prepare you for that bang moment? You know, so he says we need to be prepared left of bang. And so doing things like yoga and exercise and going out for a walk, simple things like that, really help bring wholeness and health to your brain as well as your physical body.
Bicycling is also
and bicycling
one of the best
across
ways.
The country.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about this thing, and what's the real purpose, and how other people can join you, help you, or help promote this documentary.
Yeah, so part of what we're doing with the film is, and for my own mental health, so this summer, starting in May, I'm bicycling from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean on a bicycle. Yes, a pedal bike, not an electric bike or a motorbike, but I'm pedaling human power all the way across the country, 3,700 miles. And it's to raise awareness about mental health. It's to help my own mental health and physical health. But then we're also going to bring the film to these communities that we go through. And we really want to get the world talking about this. We want to get the world talking about mental health, and especially in the first responder community. We're connecting with firefighters and police officers and others in the public safety across the country as we ride across the country. And we're raising money to help support first responders. And for those who are are connected with Ukraine, part of those funds that will be raised are going to go directly to help Ukrainian first responders in Ukraine. So the program that we're working with there is going to help fund some of that. And so it's just a way of giving back to our first responders to help them, because I think our first responders deserve to be helped because they help all of us. You know, when we pick up the phone and call 911, we want someone healthy to show up to help us. And so I think this is a way of giving back to them to help them thrive and prosper in the work that they do.
One of the heroes of this film finds some hope in church. Do you think that Christian practices, they can help people mentally, or it's just, you know, like a fake idea?
No, I totally believe it's absolutely vital to have a spiritual connection. Even people that don't necessarily believe in Jesus or God have said that it's important for a spiritual connection. There's another power out there. I'm of the belief that I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, and I believe a relationship with Christ is a part of my well-being. And for our firefighter, Maddie, he called me one day in the middle of production. He called me and he says, "Conrad, in about 2 weeks, I'm getting baptized." And I was like, wow, tell me about that. And so he was excited to share his faith journey and how now that's helping him stay healthy, helping him to stay motivated to be healthy, and to walk a life that is moving in the right direction. And his faith journey and the people around him in that faith journey are a big part of his recovery and his wellness journey. So yeah, it's a huge part. We're a spirit, soul, and body. And I think if we take care of our body, physical body, our soul, and now we take care of our spirit through our spiritual relationship, I think that's vital. It's so important.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really important, and I would love to ask you to share a few motivational thoughts for the ones who will be listening to this interview. Also, maybe to the people of Ukraine who will hear about it. They may not understand the importance of, you know, helping the people from 911 because we don't have 911 in Ukraine, but still so many people are facing these problems, police, firefighters, and just volunteers who are at war, so many different categories of people. So what would you recommend to all of us?
Yeah, I think the big part is working first on yourself so that you can be healthy. You can't effectively help others if you're not healthy. You know, I recently, someone said that in the first responder world, healthy first responders make healthy decisions. Unhealthy first responders make unhealthy decisions. And so if I'm healthy, I'm at a much better place to help the person next to me who needs help. And so doing the things daily, doing a daily practice of meditation, perhaps it's prayer, perhaps it's exercise, physical exercise, doing something on a daily basis that keeps me healthy, that keeps me strong, enables me to, when those situations come up where I need to help someone else, then I'm able to do that. And I think for those who are in the middle of the mess, to begin working, just start with small things. Perhaps you can't go out and ride 3,700 miles across the country
together with Conrad.
Right, you can't perhaps do that, but you can take a 10-minute walk outside and just get some fresh air and just do things like that and start doing it on a regular basis to begin that process of wholeness and wellness. And it'll not only improve your physical health, it'll improve your mental health as well.
What about the stigma that all the first responders should be strong and so men never cry, so everything should be okay, so you are scared to show your emotions, to share your problems with other people?
Yeah. That's been a problem in a lot of men for sure, but especially first responders, because again, they're the helpers. So they don't like to be shown as weak if they're considered, well, if I show that I'm not strong, that I'm not going to be the person I pretend to be. Well, we're all human beings. Facing traumas that first responders face, especially first responders in Ukraine, the bomb buildings, all the mess that they're facing. You're human, and to admit that you're human, there's nothing wrong with that. I have feelings, I have emotions, and to admit that doesn't make me weak. It just helps me, and it shows that I'm more in tune with who I am. God made us, with emotions and feelings, and it's okay to express those. And it's not a sign of weakness. And I think we need to encourage each other to be able to have these kind of conversations that are open and honest, and because that helps us help each other. And when I can share with you that I'm struggling with something, it actually helps bring healing. I've had people in my film who have said, because I shared my story, I'm getting better. And every time I tell my story, I heal a little more. And so I think those kind of things are important to share. And there's no shame in needing help. There's no shame in having struggles, because if you're human, if your heart's beating, you're going to have struggles, right?
I like the phrase, it's okay not to be okay.
It's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for help. And I encourage people to ask for help.
I just thought that your movie also helped these people. Even just when they told you their story a few times, they felt much better because they told it to you, and now you're telling their story to many other people.
Right.
And it's kind of the same, they repeating the story, and probably watching this documentary they feel much better because they hear themselves, and they feel this pain relief, maybe.
Yeah. And they're knowing that their story is going to help someone else. That in itself can be healing. Because if I know that my story, that someone can relate to my story, wow, that makes me feel good. That I know someone else is going to go home and think about what they saw, what they heard, and perhaps change their life in a new way. It doesn't get much better than that.
Don't you think that this is the main motivation for you, because you feel like you want to make change, you want to make difference, and you're taking the hard topics, I don't think these are very popular topics. They are tough ones, and not many people would love to talk about it, but you're picking these topics because it's in your heart, and you feel this passion to help others, and this really important thing.
In a way, I feel like this is my contribution to the world, to be able to make a difference. And if someone sees this film and it impacts their life in a positive way, then I think I've accomplished my purpose. Well, thank you for having me on the program today. If people want to follow us on this film project, just go to PTSD911movie.com. Just Google that, you'll find it. We're everywhere. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and on YouTube as well. And if you're interested in following along with us on our bike ride, go to YouTube, search for PTSD911 Movie. We'll be updating the YouTube channel just about every day on our route. And you can see how you can contribute to the fundraiser that we're doing there. But go to PTSD911 Movie, and you can see where we're going to be. If you're in the US and you want to attend one of our screening events, all of our events are on our website. Thank you for following us. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for spreading the word, and go take care of yourself.
Thank you, Conrad, for your impact, for the interview, and for your great heart for the people of America and for the people of Ukraine. We have a small present for you.
Oh, wow.
These are special t-shirts with the logo, which is very popular now among the people who love Ukraine, who are from Ukraine. It's called Good Evening, We Are From Ukraine, and actually this is the name of our new radio show. And also this is just a great memory and great reminder that we need to support Ukraine, pray for Ukraine, and I hope you and your beautiful wife, you can wear these t-shirts in the support of our country.
Of course, we will wear this with pride.
Yeah,
Be happy to wear this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Conrad. Bye.